Welcome to Legacy Collection Chat, a series which aims to provide you with a deep dive into the Mattel Legacy Collection and the origins of this prestigious line. I'm your host for this series, Tom Jurassic, and with me today, as always, is the man himself, JC.
Hey Tom, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, good. The sun is shining, it's beautiful, and we've got Dominion on the way, so yeah, it's an exciting time.
We do. So for our listeners, you will have already heard a separate episode in the week of the Dominion launch, but we are recording this on the 31st of May, so we have still not quite had Dominion yet. It's within touching distance, but it's not quite here yet. So very, very excited to see all your thoughts on the film when it does release. So, today we are diving into something very exciting. When we think of Jurassic Park, the first moment to come to mind is undoubtedly the Tyrannosaurus Rex Breakout. It's iconic in cinema history as one of Spielberg's best moments, and it really defines the classic 1993 film. It is no surprise that a scene of this magnitude also comes with a wealth of toy potential. In 2021, Mattel finally released the Tyrannosaurus Rex Escape Pack, bringing a repaint of the extreme chomping Tyrannosaurus Rex, an action figure of Tim Murphy, and for the first time in the Mattel line, a Ford Explorer. Join us as we gush over this playset and everything it brought to the Legacy Collection line in our penultimate episode of Legacy Collection Chat. So JC, there's a lot to digest with this pack. I think it's worth starting with the box. And I want to know from you, how did it feel seeing something capturing an iconic 1993 moment like this on store shelves in 2021?
I think it was just surreal.
Yeah.
Just to see this back, and also to see it done so well.
Yeah.
You know, having Timmy with his night vision goggles, and you know, having the box all laid out with the Tyrannosaurus Rex and the vehicle there. It felt like something that had been fan made. You know, that was really good, and everyone would be like, "Oh, imagine if that was real." So yeah, I never thought we'd get to this point. Never ever did I think they'd re-release the Ford Explorer, and with such kind of accuracy. There were things that weren't accurate about it. You could spot it right away, but you know, it's pretty damn good for a toy. So yeah, I was over the moon.
That's awesome to hear. I think it's a really cool pack. I am curious, what do you think of the way the box art is presented? Because we spoke recently about the Dennis Nedry set and how the box art there was very focused on recreating the environment from the film, and I feel like this is another set that really does that tenfold as well. So I'm curious as to what you think of that.
Yeah, no, I love the box on this one.
Cool.
The moment I saw it, and also just the open window idea, the fact you've got the T-Rex in the car right there.
Yeah.
Like I said, with the Kenner line, it was that, you know, figures sold separately 90s deal where everything was separate. And to see this set ready to play, all set up, ready to go, is just so exciting. I mean, if there are kids now who are fans of Jurassic Park and have gone back and watched that, they must be excited when they saw that in the stores, because it's just an instant playset, isn't it, for creating one of the most memorable moments from the first film.
Yeah, it really is. I will say, if you have been following along with Legacy Collection Chat, please do comment figures sold separately in the comments below so we can see that beautiful slogan down there. I think JC and I would definitely really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So I do want to just dive into this set and get your thoughts on each different area of it. So I wanted to start with Tim. Obviously, Tim is a character who has seen a figure before in the Kenner line. Mm-hmm. So I was interested as to what you think of this figure specifically, and how do you think Mattel managed to handle the likeness as well on this figure?
I think it's pretty good, actually. I think it's, I think with Mattel, as I've said before, they tend to sort of stylize their characters a little bit.
Yeah.
They feel like they've kind of walked out of an animated TV show version of Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
So it's got that feel again to it. But actually, in terms of accuracy, I think it's pretty good for a toy playset. You could have a hyper accurate Tim Murphy like you've got in like the Orange Studios, statues. But I don't think this is the kind of place for it. It's more of a playset. And for me, the part that makes it is the fact that he comes with the night vision goggles accessory, which, as you know, is a sort of a passion project of mine, and I just love the night vision goggles. I think it's such a cool, memorable part of Jurassic Park. Not because night vision technology was so amazing, it was more the fact that they commoditized it and made it into this product that was like almost like the way
they patented it and labeled it, and bam, they're selling it.
Exactly. Well done. That was
Thank
good.
you.
But they, like, for example, when the iPhone came out, it was the fact that they packaged a personal computer into a phone, and you could use the internet readily available, and it was smooth. It was the same thing when you saw these night vision goggles. You were like, wow, that's actually a really cool product. Imagine if that was like a real thing.
Yeah.
So for me, those night vision goggles, just that accessory is important to the kind of the feeling of the scene and the attention to detail of that scene.
I'm really glad that actually you chose to focus on the night vision goggles as well, because it lends into my next question really well.
Yeah.
Which is, how do they compare to your own replica version?
Yeah, I think they're far more simplified. They're two-tone, aren't they? It's like is it yellow and green.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, they're really simplified. They could have done them more detailed, but it's just the fact that they've got a sculpt that's similar. It's fairly accurate. They could have gone more detailed, but I'm forgiving with this set because it looks so good in the box. I guess there's always room for improvement, isn't there? There's always places where you can make stuff more accurate. You could have had these goggles with little white stripes around the lenses. You could have gone really hyper detailed if they really wanted to. But for me, it's just the kind of the inclusion of it in the first place, and the fact that it's there and it's yellow and green, I think indicates enough for play.
Yeah, I'd agree with that fully, and I think whilst you definitely can always have more details, there's definitely worse defenders out there. Stripegate.
Well, exactly. That's the kind of detail where it's part of the paint job of the car, so it would be a bit like leaving the red stripes off of the Ford Explorer.
Yeah.
It's one of those, isn't it? So, the goggles, as long as it looks vaguely like the goggles, green and yellow, and I think you can forgive them. But yeah, if they'd really gone all out and made the goggles really cool with the little white headband and the black lenses and maybe like a spot gloss on the end of the lenses to really make them look shiny on the end, they could have done that, and I would have appreciated that. I would have been like, wow, these goggles are hyper detailed as well. But it's just about, would we have lost some detail in other areas of the box because of that?
Yeah.
Would we have sacrificed details on the Ford Explorer, which arguably might be more important to the overall look of the piece? So I guess you just have to weigh up where the money's going.
Yeah, it's definitely a balancing act for sure. I'm interested. What do you think about the new version of the Rex that's included here? So I know in an earlier episode we looked at the individual release of this sculpt, but obviously this is a repaint of the Rex in a darker, more earthy colour that's better reminiscent of the 1993 animal. So I'm curious as to whether you think this is Mattel's definitive release so far, or if there's other Rexes that you think perhaps are more authentic than this one.
I think this one's pretty good. Has this still got the paler jaw?
I cannot see it from where I am sat currently. I believe so.
Yeah, so I think they've all got it, but the one I liked the most was a Fallen Kingdom released Rex, and I didn't pick it up. But it was a darker paint scheme.
Is that the bite and fight you're talking about? The one with the bigger head?
Yeah, I think it is. And I think that one felt, for me, probably the definitive one so far. But they keep releasing new paint schemes, and obviously we've got the Colossal one coming out. That's going to be. Is that part of the Hammond line?
We have a Hammond Collection Rex coming.
Now the paint job on that one looks really good, and in terms of improvement,
Yeah.
there's always room for improvement. So I feel like there is at some point going to be. I feel like we're heading there, and there is going to be a definitive Rex where everyone goes, "Whoa, hang on, they've really nailed it this time." I just don't feel we're there yet. I think we're on the way.
Yeah.
But I guess for them, it's finding a balance of where they can compromise and get away with, not putting so much paint apps on.
Yeah.
And where can they really focus? If I was them, I would focus on the head and the neck, and maybe cheap out a little bit on the rest of the body.
Yeah, I get that.
And that's the way to go, because the head and the neck is the part that you go, whoa, okay, and you really latch onto and go, that is Rexy.
Yeah.
So if they do find a way to balance it, I think that's the way to play it. But they've probably already stumbled across this, and they're probably doing it already.
So what I'm hearing, JC, is we're halfway there, and we're living on a prayer.
I think so, because there's always things about it. I always think it looks pretty good, but it's still not 100% there. There's just little things about it that always bother me, and the pale jaw thing is one thing that always stands out. Like, because I think on the actual T-Rex, I'd actually have to have a look, but it doesn't have a jaw that contrasts the upper part of its jaw as much as they do on all the Mattel figures. There's no reason for the bottom jaw to be pale all the time. He does, however, have like paler skin underneath the jaw that transitions in and underneath the neck as well. So there is a little bit paler underneath, but not on the jaw part. So it's just about Mattel noticing these. I'd say they're more like obvious things about the paint scheme and just fixing them and then it'll be job done. But I don't know what their thinking is there. Maybe they're saving money on paint and that's a part they can get away with. But yeah, I think we're on the way.
I won't make my joke again because you held yourself together very well during that. So I will just continue.
I kept composure.
So I think it's fair to say that the Ford Explorer is iconic in its own right, and it's really synonymous with the film itself. So I was curious about what you think of Mattel's rendition of the Explorer, firstly, and also what you think about the play feature itself. Because for me, it's a bit of a. It's nice that it's there, but I'm not really bothered about it. So I'm curious as to your thoughts on that as well.
So now I'm going to have to admit, so you're going to have to refresh me on the play feature, because mine is sealed in the box, and I love to look at it, but I'm trying to remember what the play feature
You literally just press down on the sunroof, and the sunroof goes in.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's why I can't remember the play feature. Okay. So does it just pop out and then you can pop it back in again?
It doesn't even pop out. It's on a hinge, so it hinges inwards.
Oh, okay. Where does the hinge fall from? The front of the car?
The back of the car.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay, so what I'd say is one of the things that impresses me most about this vehicle is the proportional accuracy.
Yeah.
The Ford Explorer from Kenner, which was amazing when it came out, is proportionally strange. Like it's a strange proportion. It's it's a toy. It's a toy car. But this one, just to look at it, I feel like the proportions are really good. And I've seen a lot of people modding their Ford Explorers using this toy as a base and getting something that's pretty spot on to the Ford Explorer from the film. Now that shows you how much time they spent getting that shape spot on.
Yeah.
So that's one of the first things. Second of all, the paint job's pretty darn good, and the fact that they've done decals with the actual Jurassic Park logo, again, amazing. So they've spent money there, I think, where it matters. The play feature, for me as a collector, I'm not bothered because I'm putting mine on display, and if you're someone making a painted version of it to be accurate, then again, the play feature isn't too much of a big deal. But I think they've compromised on the play feature to make the paint job good, because that is when you think of the Ford Explorer from Jurassic Park, the look of it is half of what the car is. I have to, the appeal of the car and its appearance, its color scheme, for me, is what makes it so cool. When that drove on screen in the film, that was it. That was what made it so cool. It's like this
futuristic safari vehicle, isn't it?
It is, and it's so glossy and sleek and clean. When I was little, I liked toy cars, but I wasn't really mad into cars.
Yeah.
But I was into the Jurassic Park cars because they were just, over and above these appealing vehicles.
Yeah.
So yeah, and the fact you have the CD-ROM built in and all the other business, I think that's cool. I think what they could have done, and I don't know if they did this, but it could have. Does it light up at all?
No, but that would have been a really interesting addition, actually.
Yeah, and actually, I guess that would have been costly to do. So I might be thinking blue sky thinking here, but I think actually a little battery compartment underneath and a little button at the front of the car that when you press it, it lights up the CD-ROM and the rear and front headlights.
That would be really cool. I'd like that.
That would be cool. I mean,
Yeah.
if you wanted to go one further, you could have little motorized steering wheel that turns itself. But now I'm going into wishful thinking again. But I think they compromised on the play feature to get the paint job spot on there,
Yeah.
if I'm honest. And I think that's an okay compromise, because the Jungle Explorer isn't necessarily something that I ever expected a play feature for, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I know the original had the rocket launcher, but that was always an add-on. You didn't really need it. You could hide it away at the back of the vehicle. So actually, I'm not too fussed about the lack of a play feature there.
Yeah, I think actually for me it's really cool seeing them sacrifice a play feature for just realism.
Yeah.
Because I feel like so often realism is sacrificed for play features, but it's scarcely the other way around.
That's right. Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't have been surprised if they'd done something bad with the decals or the paint job, but left out, some kind of, or added some sort of big rocket launcher or something on the top. Which, so I don't know. I think they understand who's going to buy this. It's not just kids who are watching Jurassic Park. There's a lot of collectors out there who will love this, and I think that's why they played it that way.
Yeah, definitely. I'm interested. Did you think that something along this line was something that we'd ever see, where you get a 3 3/4 inch vehicle like a Ford Explorer that's got opening doors and enhanced details? Did it always seem out of the realm of possibility?
I think, yeah, I never thought. I mean, 3 3/4 inch as a scale for me felt like, we'd never get that with Jurassic Park. That for me was like, a G.I. Joe or Star Wars figure thing. So that was the first thing I'd rule out. But second of all, whether we'd ever get another Ford Explorer toy, I thought that was isolated to Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And I thought it's so old that no one, they'll never release it. You'll get collectors' statues and stuff like we have with Iron Studios. I'm looking at one now, but we haven't had like re-released of toys. So I think that's one thing that I'm really amazed about with this franchise, is that it's revived all of these set pieces from the old film and given them new life. So that's good.
Yeah, I agree with that fully. I am interested. Can you talk a little bit more about how this compares with the Kenner version? Just because you've touched on it briefly, but I'm interested. How different is this from that version? Because I've seen lots of photos of that version, and the colours are definitely very different. But I'm interested as to what else is different between the two as well.
So actually, the Ford Explorer, it's called the Jungle Explorer in the Kenner line.
Yeah.
The paint schemes tend to vary in terms of the gradient that you get. You got the green to the yellow, but on some vehicles, the airbrushing of the yellow pass is better. So it's a bit like pot luck whether you get a good one. And I think mine was mainly green, the one that I got.
Okay.
But it has the red stripes, and actually as a toy from 1993, it was pretty accurate. In those days, you were lucky if a toy looked like the thing you got in the film.
Yeah.
Because I don't know why. I think it's because toys were made before films came out. So quite often you'd have a key vehicle from a film and it would look nothing like the one in the film. That would quite often happen. So to have something that was so iconic from the film, for me, and I've actually done a video on the Jungle Explorer on the channel, but for me, I have this memory of being on the bus going home, cradling the Jungle Explorer box and looking at the box art, and I remember that really clearly, the feeling of excitement and the fact that I was taking something home from Jurassic Park. It's a really clear memory that I have of those days. And for me, that it was a really cool car, mainly because of the way it looked. The play features were an extra thing, but the way it looked was the main appeal. Now you had dino damage on the front. Dino damage was a big thing with the Jurassic Park line, you know, any kind of dino interaction with other dinos or vehicles, or so the bonnet actually tears off and there's like a shard shape cut out on the bonnet where a piece of plastic of the bonnet detaches and reveals the engine underneath, and the engine is cast in like shiny black plastic.
Yeah.
And then on the back you've got like a little flip door that when you flip it over it's got a little rocket. And actually, it's quite cool. It fires these little missiles. Now, the missiles, when you put them into the missile launcher, they're grey on the side. They've got a little channel on the side that's grey. When you fire it, it goes red, as if you're...
That's cool.
As if you're, like, hitting and causing, like, an injury to the dinosaur, is extracting its blood.
Yeah.
I think it's like a missile dart or something. I can't remember what they called it. But, yeah, I love that play set. And also the dino damage also takes off the front bumper with the lights on it as well.
Yeah.
So you've got something that the dinosaur can really grab onto and pull off. And the wheels are really simplified on the old Jungle Explorer. They're just like black. They're like a black circle, and then they indent in the middle and they go really far in. So I think people have made 3D printed custom hubcaps to cover that hole that's on the wheel.
Yeah.
Because they look so toy-like and simple. But and all of the figures, you know, you could put figures in the car, and that worked. And you could open up the bubble, so the bubble flipped from the top, but it didn't go inside like this one. And you could open up the back and put some things in the back in the storage area where the missile went. So yeah, it was pretty cool as far as toys go. And I had that one for years and played with it for years. And because it was the tour vehicle, you know, I would be out in the garden pushing this thing around and doing the tour around Jurassic Park, and then, oh no, dinosaurs arrive, take off the bonnet, fire missiles. Yeah. So yeah, it was really good in that time in terms of play. So I think that's one advantage that Kenner probably has over this, is if it's a kid's toy, you got more play features with it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and it's a lot more intuitive for play when it's designed for kids, isn't it? It means
absolutely
you've got a lot more freedom to pack all of that stuff in.
Yeah.
I will actually intervene here and say I did recently acquire some Kenner goodies. So I got, before we started this episode, I showed you the Raptor from JP3,
very cool.
The Utah Raptor from The Lost World, and then also I got the net capture vehicle from The Lost World. Which is
very
awesome.
Nice. Yeah.
And Connor, a shout out to him, he kept it in quality condition, because all of the listings I've seen, the net's missing, and this one has got the net on the side of it ready to capture a dinosaur, and
awesome.
It is awesome. So very, very much getting back into the good old Kenner days as well, which
that's
is exciting.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you picked up some vintage stuff, because
it's rubbing off on me, JC.
There's something to be said for those old figures in that they're a bit like they're very hardy. They're like really chunky toys. They would hardly ever break, so they're not as fragile as the 3 3/4 inch stuff. They're proper chunky toys. You know, even Alan Grant's muscly off-color Alan. So you know, they're big bulky figures like wrestling figures. I remember that from the 90s. That was fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was cool. I mean, one of the things that, because I've got a Jungle Explorer in the box now, and you know, which whisks me back to that time, and the box art is fantastic because they used to paint. They commissioned someone to paint the box art, and it's a strange, like, different world of Jurassic Park that you kind of peer into.
Yeah.
Where you're seeing these almost like comic book or like action film versions of Jurassic Park going on. So there was something really cool about that, and you had the little cards as well, the collector's cards, which did the same thing. They basically expanded the world of Jurassic Park and gave you this wider story that fired your imagination, and the box art was part of that. The diorama on the back with the action figures and the toy being played with. So it all just really fed into your imagination of things you could do with this toy when you got it home. So that is something that I'm really fond of with the Kenner Jungle Explorer.
Yeah, I think there's still such a lot to be said for the Kenner line and how special so many of those toys are.
It was amazing. Amazing for the time.
Yeah. And amazing now they hold up, which is what's really special, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always nice when you get something that stands the test of time, I think.
Absolutely.
So I'm curious. Obviously, this set in itself packs in a lot to the box, but there is another Explorer in the film, and there's a Gennaro that can still be made. So do you hope that that's something we see in the future?
Whoa, Tom, that's blown my mind for a minute. Yeah, I guess that would be really cool. Wow.
Yeah.
Would you have the toilet?
The second Explorer, the toilet, and Gennaro.
I guess the toilet would be cardboard, right? Because that seems
Yeah.
to be Mattel's new thing, is making set pieces in the box out of cardboard. So I guess you'd have a cardboard toilet, Gennaro sat there, I guess. You wouldn't
with
have the
removable
T-Rex.
trousers.
Yeah, or detachable legs so you can have the bits of Gennaro. And then what would you have? Malcolm as well, I guess, on the floor. Injured Malcolm. They could make him from the one that they're doing the promotion.
Repackage the SDCC one.
Exactamundo. And then you've got the Ford Explorer. And then what would you do with that Ford Explorer to make that different? What else would you do with that? I don't know.
Muddy it up and
Muddy
put
it
some,
up.
like cracks in the windows and
Yeah,
stuff.
that would do it, I think. And maybe you could detach the top, so you could do do the upside down mode.
I'd love that. There we go, Mattel. 3 ideas. Take them at 50% royalty.
But you know that would really cheese people off, because you'd have the number 4 and number 5 cars, but one will be muddy and cracked, and it'd be like, for goodness sake, just want 2 the same.
Well, it would be a good lesson for people that they don't always get what they want.
That's true. This is true, Tom.
So I'm gonna hit you with the last question.
Okay.
It's a tricky one, but I'm confident in the answer. Is this the best Legacy Collection set yet?
Oof. Remind me of all the ones they've done. Let's go through this a sec.
So we're going to go back through Legacy Collection chat and re-listen to it for the next 60 minutes.
No, but what have we got so far? We got Legacy. So are we talking about the play sets, right?
I'd say yeah. So you've got stuff like the Nedry Getaway. You've got the Isla Nublar escape set.
Oh, that's pretty
You've
good.
got the Sauna 2-pack.
Yeah.
You've got the story packs, the 6-packs.
Oh yeah. You've got Ray Arnold.
Yeah, Ray Arnold.
I think this is the best one, isn't it?
I'd say so.
Yeah, I think it's standing out as the best one, just because you got T-Rex, which is like value for money amazing.
Yeah.
You got the Jungle Explorer, value for money amazing, and then you've got Timmy and his goggles. I mean, it's like it's the ultimate, isn't it?
Yeah.
It could be improved. I think it could come with Lex, or it could come with another adult character like Alan Grant. I think that that would have pushed it into the realms of being the best set, absolutely, definitively.
100%. Yeah.
It does feel a little bit lacking with just Timmy, considering that he can't drive the car, but then the car's self-driving, so I guess that kind of answers itself.
Self-driving cars.
But it just feels weird that it's just him. If you're playing with it,
Yeah.
it's just him in the car by himself. But I guess that is kind of like the film as well, so I guess they get away with it. But yeah, I think if they'd had something else, it really would have. But I still think it's an amazing set.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything, hugely wrong with it. It's pretty impressive that it even exists. And actually,
It really is.
It's not that expensive online right now. It seems to be like in its
It was on sale in the US recently.
yeah, it's like easily obtainable phase, which is
Yeah.
that's quickly going to turn around, because if history has taught us anything, it's that the easily obtainable thing the next week becomes
Yeah.
highly sought
I mean,
after.
there was a moment in time where Toys R Us was easily attainable, so...
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, and actually it's one of those sets that I felt most compelled to want to open.
Yeah.
So that's a good sign for it, isn't it?
Okay, so for everyone listening, we're going to crowdfund to get JC a second set to open. There you go.
they're on sale. I probably could get one and actually open it up. That would be quite nice.
Do it.
Yeah, and then they're going to shortly after bring out the Gennaro set, and I'll be like, "Ugh."
Yeah. You'll be like John Hammond. Damn! Damn! Okay, but before we descend into the chaos any further, that is going to wrap it up for this episode of Legacy Collection Chat, the penultimate episode of this season. So stay tuned to Jurassic Collectibles across social media for our final episode of Legacy Collection Chat, delving deep into the exclusives which will be arriving very soon. You can also find me at Tom Jurassic across social media. JC, why don't you sign off?
Okay guys, so don't forget to rate, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you in the final episode of Legacy Collection Chat.
I want to tear up a bit at that.
Yeah, it's quite sad.
But we will see you soon.